Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dudes, and we're here to present you our NBA morning shoot around for Tuesday, October 30th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This week I watch all of our NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. And if you haven't already, go check out our website at dfscheatsheet.com. We're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. We got everything, a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily cash lines for Fanduel and Draftkings. Hey, we got everything. Go make sure and check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. And, hey, how you doing out there, Jeremy?
What's up, dude? How you doing, man? Monday, good little NBA slate. I told everybody Buffalo's defense would surprise people in the first half. They did. Then they just got the doors blown off. Right. Good night, man. I'm ready to jump into this NBA slate for tomorrow, though.
Yeah, for sure, man. We got a solid 8-game slate. We got some good spots. Real quick, before I do jump in this video, a couple quick things. First thing first, if you don't mind, please take that quick second, click the like button for me down below. It helps me out, and I really appreciate it, guys. And the second thing, hey, another night of the money team cashing. FanDuel and DraftKings cash tonight. Both sites, all entries. Hey, it was a good night in the NBA for us. Things have been going very well to start this NBA season for sure. So, let's jump into this slate, bro. So we'll get started. First game that we're going to look at is going to be the Miami Heat going in to Charlotte to face the Hornets. This game has a 221 implied total, and Charlotte's favored by 4 in this game. We'll stick to our regular. You get us going with the visitor side. I'll do the home side of things. So let's get it, bro.
Miami, man. Josh Richardson has a really solid game tonight. I believe he had 49 fantasy points. Very fair price right now. A little bit of a price reduction, I think, today, and then he jumps up back to 7,200 for tomorrow. I think anytime you're talking about Miami, you start with Josh Richardson. He's probably the highest usage, most upside player that they have. You can't go without talking about Rodney McGruder at 5,600. This guy's just been lights out so far this season. Rodney McGruder started all the way at minimum value, puts up 18.1 in his first game, follows it up by going 39.6, 40, 36.7, 31. Little fall off tonight, just didn't shoot the ball well from the floor. Still played 32 minutes, only 16.4 fantasy points. I think he is very fair priced at 5,600 as well. And then, the Dragon. Dragic seems to just stay. We always talk about this. His price seems to just sit between $6,400 and $6,700. It's like he's been a $6,600 player for his whole life. It seems like every time I don't play him, he puts up 40, and every time I do play him, he puts up 23. So I'll leave that up to you guys. You want to play Dragic in this situation, go ahead. They are coming off a back-to-back with the game today against Sacramento. I have a kind of a Hassan Whiteside rule. I don't like to play Whiteside on the road. I don't know what his minutes will be on a back-to-back. So you could look to maybe punt tomorrow at the center position with Bam. Bam's always a good play for me in tournaments because you just don't know what the minute situation is going to look like. He's been steady, though, 18 to 22 minutes and almost about a point per minute fantasy production. So, there's always an opportunity on a back-to-back for him to see a little bit of an increase. You can take a look at Olynyk at 6,400. He's probably a little more expensive than what I would like to pay for him at 6,400. He hasn't had he hasn't had that 50-point game where he just starts knocking down threes yet. And that's kind of where I feel like I'm getting him at a discount if I'm going to pay that price. Other than that, that's pretty much where I'm at. Tyler Johnson's the last guy I'll mention. The guy finally gets on the board, $3,700. He finally gets on the board the other night with a 24.8, and then he kind of followed that up with a 16.6, and then tonight he gets 26.8. So it looks like he's starting to kind of find his shot, get a little bit of a rhythm. Very fair price at 3,700. Another option for a pump play as well.
I definitely think that you hit it all on the Miami side. One thing I just really quickly want to note is the McGruder. The only thing that's really a little bit scary for him, the guy's been playing well, but they're starting to get all their guards back. So that's just a quick little cautious that I kind of wanted just to mention with him. So on the Charlotte side of things, you pretty much just look at the obvious guys. Obviously, Kemba Walker at home. 9,000, still a fair price tag for him. We always like to play Kemba at home. He plays a lot better over his career. You can check that out. He's always played a lot better at home. I think Kemba's one of the obvious plays. You can look for GPPs. You can look at a guy like Jeremy Lamb, 5,400. He's been in that starting lineup, and it's all about minutes with him. We've seen it in the past. Whenever he gets minutes, he puts up monster numbers. So I think that Jeremy Lamb's a decent GPP play. And then, Nicholas Batum. For me, Nicholas Batum is too cheap, and I think he's a solid cash game play. 6,300 for him to hit value. You need about 31. He's averaging 27 on the season, and I mean, he just does a little bit of everything. You can look at last game, for example, against Philadelphia. Played 31 minutes. He only got 2 actual scoring points, but he got you 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks for 25 fantasy points, which is respectable. So I like Batum. And that's really, I mean, honestly, for me, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, I guess, as a GPP punt, he has a little bit of upside. I'm not really going to be looking at the bigs for the Charlotte Hornets. So that's really where I'm at on this game. And I'm ready to move on to the next one if you are.
One thing I'm just going to follow up with on the Kemba Walker deal. The guy has averaged for his career about 19.1 points per game. And if you look at his last 2 seasons, he's about 22.3. And this year so far, he's 31.7. So he's about 8 points higher per game right now. His per is up. His usage rate is up. And at home, like you mentioned, he's averaging 5.5 more points per game at home than he is on the road. So Kemba Walker is a really good play right now. He's very fair price, kind of having a career year so far.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next game. The next game that we're gonna check out, it's gonna be the Atlanta Hawks going into Cleveland to face the Cavs. I mean, this is a battle of 2 absolutely horrible teams, teams that we never usually want to play. But in this case, since they're playing against each other, I think that we can definitely find a couple solid plays in this game. So I have the 226 implied total, and the Cavs are actually favored by 4.5 in this game. So go ahead and get us started with that Atlanta side of things.
So the first guy I'm going to look at is Trae Young. Trae Young, if you look at the slate, he's probably one of the top point guards on the slate tomorrow at $7,100. He just hasn't done much since his 55.9 outburst against Cleveland the last time they played. So you look 25.4, 23.6, 27.3. The minutes seem to be about 29 to 30. But like I said, the last time he played Cleveland, he puts up 55. So probably one of the more popular plays tomorrow night on the slate, I would think. A really good play. I think for the most part, the Atlanta side, I'm not looking to really play anybody maybe outside of Dwayne Dedmon at 5,500. I think his price is really good at 5,500. Power forward position, you can punt maybe with Omari Spellman. I've played him a few times this year. His minutes are starting to pick up a little bit. He got 24 minutes tonight. Kent Bazemore Jr., he's like Goran Dragic for me. I mean, this guy, it seems that he can't – I play him, he duds. I don't play him, this guy goes out for 40 or 50 points. So, I'm not looking to play Tayron Prince. I think he's now overpriced. But you can't completely fade this game because it's Cleveland. For me, if I'm going to get exposure, it's going to stay with probably Trae Young and Dwayne Dedmon.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, this game, like I said in the very beginning, there's a couple spots we can really just kind of look at, but it's not something really that we have to get somebody from this game. So on the Cleveland side of things, I mean, I'm going to be honest, there's not really nothing that excites me on the Cleveland side of things. A couple guys that I think are decent plays are a little bit overpriced. You got Kevin Love still out. Larry Nance has been playing well with him out, but his price is starting to rise up, 6.6. For a guy that's only playing, 23, 24 minutes, it's not something that I want to play. Really, man, to be completely honest, I mean, there's not really nobody on the Cleveland side that I'm really going to be looking at. The point guard spot, you got George Hill and Sexton splitting minutes. Shooting guard, you got Rodney Hood, Clarkson, and J.R. Smith. This guy, Cedi Osman, he's 6'7", he's 6.7K. He's overpriced. I'm not going to pay that price tag for him. So for me, the only guy I would say that you could possibly look at as a punt play, Sam Dekker started last game, played 24 minutes, and he got you 20 fantasy points, 3,700 is dirt cheap for him. He's a guy that in the past showed us that if he gets minutes, he's a pretty good player. So, I mean, I'm not really going to look at anybody on the Cleveland side of things. I mean, I'm just going to pass possibly Decker as a punt play, and that's about it, bro. I'm ready to move on.
Larry Nance, I play Larry Nance at 66. I still think he's playable.
Yeah, I just don't like the price. If he was, 5,000 still, all right, cool. And then he's only like, if you look at the minutes, he's only averaging 22 to 23 minutes. So
that is true. But 34 and 38 in his last two. Atlanta's got Dwayne Dedman. That's really it down there.
Yeah, but that's just kind of like a little bit of run good for me. I mean, if he's playing 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, and we'll move on to this next game. We got, another battle of some sorry teams pretty much. You got Sacramento Kings going into Orlando to face the Magics. This game has a 223 implied total, and Orlando's actually favored by 3.5 and 4.5 in this one. So what you like on the Sac side?
De'Aaron Fox is such a borderline play, right? He's starting to be consistent. You just look at his last three, 46.6, 33.7, 39.8. But that's not value for 7,800 in tournaments. So, I'd have to take a deeper dive at this before I could recommend playing a De'Aaron Fox tomorrow. The first guy that I would go look to, though, is Willie Cauley-Stein. Had a really solid game tonight at $7,100. He puts up 46 fantasy points. He put up 43 a couple days ago against Washington. Washington without a center, obviously with Dwight Howard not playing yet. Hey, it's no secret. One thing we've done for a long time here in fantasy basketball, daily fantasy basketball, is attack Vucevic with other centers because the guy's not an elite defender. He puts up a ton of fantasy points himself, but he likes to stay away from the basket, collect long rebounds, kind of dish the ball, and knock down the jump shot, right? So Willie Cauley-Stein's a guy that I'm interested in playing because he's playing against Vucevic. But outside of that, Marvin Bagley III, $5,600. The price has probably exceeded him a little bit. Two really good games, one against Denver with 46. There was a lot of mop-up time involved with that where he got some run. New Orleans game, 44.1. I think Sacramento played out of their heads for a while on that one. But I'm not really looking to play that. Belitza, too expensive. I like this guy when he's between $4,500 and $5,500, $6,500. I'm not interested in plugging him into my small forward spot at $6,500. And then Buddy Hield is a wild card. So I'm not really looking to get any exposure there. I might play De'Aaron Fox in this one, but the juice isn't worth the squeeze there for me.
Yeah, no, I get you. Not a very exciting game. So on the Orlando side of things, I mean, there's obviously a couple guys you could look at, but they're all more GPP plays. Obviously, the top play on the Orlando side for me is Vucevic. I mean, Vucevic is a baller. It's just all about the minutes with him. When he gets minutes, he gets fantasy points. So I definitely like Vucevic in this spot. Aaron Gordon, I mean, the price tag 7.7. I like Aaron Gordon. The thing about him is he's just been inconsistent. And if I'm paying 7.7 for somebody, I want some consistency. I mean, in his past three, he's got 20 fantasy points, 26, 19. Like, I mean, I don't want to pay 7.7 for somebody that is going to only get me 20 points. I'm going to go find something.
I like him tomorrow, though, bro, for two reasons. Look at his two games where he's gotten big 40-point games. Philadelphia, Saric is not really a true power forward. He's a finesse guy. And then Miami doesn't really have a power forward either, right? Olynyk comes off the bench. They got Whiteside. They don't really have a power forward either. But you look, Charlotte, they've got power forward action. Boston, obviously, with Tatum. Milwaukee, Giannis dominates everything. So I think Sacramento doesn't really have that power forward. They got Bagley, but, he comes off the bench for the most part. So I like Gordon tomorrow. That would be my guy.
Yeah, so for me, I'm just going to look at a little bit of Evan Fournier, maybe a little bit of Gordon and GPPs. And then for me, the best guy on this team to play tomorrow would be Vucevic, 8.8. I think he's still a fair price tag. And I mean, that's really all. Past two games haven't been very exciting games. Just put it like that. We're going to get to the exciting stuff very soon. So I will move on to the next game. This actually should be a really good game. You got Philadelphia. So you got Philadelphia going in to Toronto to face the Raptors. Toronto is going to be on a back-to-back. Did Philly play tonight? Philly didn't play tonight, right?
Yes, they did.
Oh,
they played Atlanta.
So both teams will be on back-to-backs then. I don't have a total on this yet. Do you have a total on this one?
I've got the total at, tell you right now. The total for this one is 222. Toronto's minus 6.5. The implied total for Philadelphia is 107.8 and Toronto 114.3.
Perfect. Thank you. That was, for some reason, it wasn't popping up for me. So I mean, get us started on that Philadelphia side of things.
So the first thing I'm going to say is Kawhi rests today, right? And he's resting on the front half of a back-to-back. That's the only reason he rested. This is the second rest day. So I don't like Ben Simmons as much as I would if Kawhi was not in this game. So Ben Simmons at 10,000, 49 fantasy points tonight. Kind of in, a blowout spot for them. It should have been a blowout spot early on. The game stayed close for a while. He puts up 49.9. The one guy that I'm looking to play, really looking forward to playing tomorrow in this slate, and I will have a lot of exposure to him, is Redick. The guy's been lights out. Tonight goes out, puts up 34.1. He already has two 44-plus point games, a couple of 27-point fantasy games. He's a shooter. When a shooter's hot, ride the hot hand. So price drop, looking to play him. He'll draw a matchup against guys like Norman Powell and Ben Vliet and that things of that nature because of Kyle Lowry and who he'll have to cover. And then I'm fully expecting to see Kawhi Leonard all over Ben Simmons tomorrow. The other guy that I'm looking forward to playing tomorrow on this one, and I don't mind paying up, is Embiid. Embiid struggled tonight. He had a terrible night from the floor. I believe he was 3 of 9, only put up 28.2 fantasy points. He only had 6 rebounds, 10 points, one of his lowest outputs that I can remember, where he's gotten a full complement of minutes. A 10.6 rebound game. This is like when we had to pay $7,000 for Embiid to play 18 minutes. That's kind of the last time I remember having this low of a total. So I think he bounces back in the second half. Only played 29 minutes tonight. So the minutes shouldn't be an issue with him on a back-to-back. But Redick and Embiid are the two guys I'm looking to play. You might take a look at a Robert Covington. He could be in a mismatch situation with their perimeter defenders. And then, if a newbie is out, it looks like he could be back. He's gone for a personal issue. So he could be back. It wasn't anything injury-related. But if he's not, Covington could be a mismatch. Saric could be a mismatch. It really depends on who's going to play tomorrow. I fully expect Kawhi to be back, but if they roll out the same lineup of Ibaka at center, Embiid should dominate Ibaka. Ibaka has a tendency to be hot-headed, get in foul trouble, etc. Embiid, to me, is the premier play. If they're going to stay close in this game and have a chance to win it, it'll have to be because Embiid carries the way because we know what Kawhi is capable of defensively.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, I mean, this game, I think I like – I honestly really like Kawhi tomorrow. I'll just get it started right there. First thing first, I mean, the guy's already shown us a couple times, massive upside, and he's still under 10,000. He should be priced right there with the LeBrons, the Giannis's, and he's not. And so, I mean, this is a very good price for him. I think he's a really good cash game play tomorrow. And the problem's been Toronto is just whooping everybody's ass pretty much. And Philadelphia is a good team. They're projected to be one of the best teams in the East. So I think this is a game where it could stay close. And Kawhi will get his 35 minutes. He's coming off a day of rest. So I like this spot. I really like this spot for Kawhi. Go right back to the well with Kyle Lowry. He was chalk tonight, and he didn't disappoint. He had a solid game tonight. 47 fantasy points. 34 minutes. Kyle Lowry has been playing very well in the season. 9,000, the price tag starting to get a little bit, in that price range. But I like Kyle Lowry. So, I mean, I'm going to, Kyle Lowry, you can look at Leonard. I really like Leonard. And then, the two power forwards. The Fanduel, they're both recognized as power forwards. But you got Ibaka. Ibaka had a great game tonight. I mean, he's shown us in the past. He has monster upside. He's averaging 30 fantasy points on the season. At a 5.2 price tag, he's averaging 6x for us. I mean, come on. I like Ibaka tomorrow. I definitely like him. And then the guy that, I feel like you pretty much just have to put him in the lineup if he's going to start is going to be Pascal Siakam. This guy, I played him the past 2 times. Last time he did decent for me, but he got 37 minutes. I was very happy. Went right back to the well, and when I got him a couple of days ago, he was only 7%. Tonight, he was 79%. So I wasn't the only one that jumped on him tonight. but the guy's playing a lot of minutes. But one thing I will note, and you brought the guy up as well, is this guy, a newbie. He's been out for some personal reasons for a couple of days, and that's why Siakam is getting some extra minutes. So if a newbie's back, then you can't really expect Siakam to get 35 minutes like he's been getting the past couple. It'll probably be the 27, 28 minutes. But either way, fair price tag. The guy has upside, and that's really where I'm at. I'm not gonna look. I mean, you could possibly see Jonas Valanciunas get a couple extra minutes because he's gonna have to bang against Embiid. He's a big body, but he's not somebody I'm really gonna look at. I'm just gonna more stick to the Lowry, Kawhi Leonard, and then the two power forwards in Ibaka and Siakam. And that's really where I'm at on the Toronto side of things.
Hey, did you say what Anunoby's ownership was?
Who?
You?
Yeah, he was 79% owned. But bro,
I thought you said that you were like one of the only ones that played him. I didn't hear what you said.
I've literally played him the past two slates. I played him the other night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
That's
because I was like, man, in tournaments the dude was like 55% owned. I was thinking that's crazy. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, I'm with you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so yeah.
Hey, if Valanciunas was like 5,000, he would be a really good play tomorrow coming off the bench because he doesn't have to bang against Embiid, especially if they're going to keep running this lineup out where they're starting Ibaka at center. But he's too expensive.
Though.
Huh?
They're doing real good with that lineup, though.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is Ibaka can't play Embiid.
Right. But what I think it's really working though is because Siakam's a big dude too. You know what I mean? So you got Embiid and Siakam pretty much playing side by side, like they're clogging the paint.
I'm gonna say it right now, bro. Just lock Embiid in. This dude's pissed off because he had a bad game tonight. He only played 29 minutes. Crap from the floor, and he's going against. If he possibly goes against Siakam and freaking Serge Ibaka, right? Like this dude's probably licking his chops. He's probably eating KFC or something right now, like fast food. I can't wait to get these dudes tomorrow. He's gonna eat them up. Just lock him in. 10-8. Lock him in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's move on.
I don't know about locking him in, but I definitely think he's a really good player tomorrow. So yeah, we'll move on to the Detroit game. You got Detroit going into Boston to face the Celtics. Blake Griffin against Kyrie Irving. This game has a 209 implied total, and Boston's favored by 8.5 in this game. So first thing first, just go straight to the rule. We got the rule. You know what I'm talking about?
Go ahead.
Hey, our rule is, when we've been doing this all season, is we are playing centers against Boston. That's our rule right now. And so Drummond tomorrow, monster game. I'm telling you right now. I'm not sitting here and telling you, oh, Drummond is a must start. But in tournaments, lock it in. Drummond's gonna have a monster game tomorrow. All right, handle the business with Detroit, bro. But
I'm going to start right there with Drummond just so we can back up the rule, right? Because you have to if it was a center going in there like Cody Zeller, I might not be as excited to play him. But this would be the only reason why you don't just lock Joel Embiid in tomorrow. You look back to 2016-17 season against Boston in 4 games, Drummond averages 21.3 points and 17.8 rebounds. That's not a fluke. You can go to last year. Last year in 4 games against Boston, he averages 15.7 points, 18 rebounds. The dude's a double-double, almost a 20.20 rebound game. I mean, this is not like these are opponents from the West where it's only 2 games, small sample size. This is a full complement. 4 games is what these guys play East on East Conference, right? So this guy eats Al Horford.
Hey, I don't want to interrupt you. So they actually just played against Boston their last game.
I was getting to that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, I just realized that.
I want to back it up with what happened in the last 2 seasons because it's not a fluke, right? It's not a fluke at all. But you look at the last game, he only played 29 minutes. He got 18 points, 8 rebounds, right? So he almost gets a double-double, 32.1. Look, I'm a big believer in this. I know you're a big believer in this. It's like with baseball, right? If a guy's a career 320 hitter and he's in an 0 for 25, his numbers are going to come back around, and by the end of the season, the dude's going to be a career 320 hitter. Right. This dude's a career, just called an 18-point, 18 rebound against Boston. Look for him to have a monster game coming back against Boston. I don't see him having, you know, a small 18-8 game. I just don't see it happening. So for me, that's where it starts. It starts right there with Andre Drummond. He's eaten against Al Horford in the past. And then you have to start looking at Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin's had a very good season so far. Blake Griffin's dropped 50. He's dropped 51, 2, 3 times, and then he's dropped that 77-point game against Philadelphia. So the minutes are there for Griffin. Again, you look at the Boston game. He only had 7.6 rebounds, 15.7. Look, it's like a 7-game series as well. Like when you look at the playoffs, a team's defensive plan may work, or a guy may have a bad game one game, but they come back the next game and typically rebound, and they don't have the exact same game. So I don't look for it to be the exact same game as it was in this previous matchup. I'm not really interested in the point guard positions because I don't really know what's going on with Reggie Jackson, Ish Smith. It seems to be, you know, it started off where Reggie Jackson got 35 minutes, 28 minutes, and 38 minutes, but he's dipped down to 22 and 26. And you take a look at Ish Smith's minutes, he's up at the 26-point mark as well. So it's kind of a split-minute situation there. I have not bought into Reggie Bullock. I have not bought into him. I will not start buying into him tomorrow. And they don't really have anybody at the small forward position either. So for me, you can look to play 2 guys in this one, Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, with the premier play being Drummond.
Yeah, no, for sure. So on the Boston side of things, man, it's just like Boston is so loaded. I mean, you got really good guys. They're just all really splitting minutes for the most part. So before we get into that, I mean, I'm going to start right with the best player on the team. You got Kyrie Irving, 7,500. He's underpriced. You know, and like we keep talking about Kyrie, under 8,000, underpriced, under 8,000, underpriced. But he just hasn't been doing it. I mean, I was, you know, reading a couple of things about him earlier, and, you know, he's still, I mean, he's bound to have a monster game. I mean, that's really what I'm trying to get at with Kyrie. This is a really buy low opportunity on him at a 7.5 price tag. I mean, he's still leading the team in shots. He's still leading the team in assists. He's still leading the team in, controlling the ball. The problem for him this year, he just hasn't been able to knock threes down. That's the biggest problem with him. He's shooting, I think, at like a 20% clip. When his first career, he's at 39%, three-point shooter. So it goes right back to what you're saying. People always regress back to their mean. Kyrie's not going to shoot 20% from threes the whole entire season. Okay, he's going to have a hot streak. He's going to get back on track. And I mean, hey, why not, pay 7.5 for a guy who's, recently, last year he was always 8,500, 9,000. He was, $1,000 more. So I think Kyrie's a really good play here. And then, Reggie Jackson and Ish Smith, they don't scare me on defense. So I like Reggie Jackson. Rozier's cheap. The problem is, the minutes are all over the place with him. He's getting about 23, 24 minutes a game. So I definitely think you can use him as a GPP play. You got Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, both, very good prices, but they're literally pretty much in a time split. Going to stay away from that. Small forward, you can look at Hayward, but Hayward is on the minutes restriction, so I'm going to stay away from that. And then really, Jason Tatum, 6.8. He didn't have the best game last game against, Blake Griffin. But this guy, he's shown us all year he's going to be good. 6.8, the price tag is right there where, for me, he's a little bit more of a GPP play. But I think Jason Tatum's a solid play. Lastly, Al Horford, he had a horrible game last game, 15 fantasy points in only 20 minutes. I think he got in foul trouble. But if you look at all his previous games before last game, he was averaging 30 fantasy points a game, 6.8 price tag, very fair. They're going to need him in there against Drummond, so I think Horford is a good play as well. And that's really where I'm at. I'm just going to kind of really look at Kyrie Irving, possibly Tatum, maybe a little bit of Horford. And, that's it, bro.
The problem I have with Kyrie Irving right now, I agree. It's a buy low opportunity. I agree that his price is fair. However, he has this pretty much the same usage rate as Jason Tatum does, and that's the problem. Jason Tatum's dominating the basketball for them. Jason Tatum has a 23.4 usage rate. Kyrie Irving has a 24.1. So they're very it's literally almost an identical usage rate. One guy's a power forward and one guy's the point guard of the team. So that's kind of my problem with the Kyrie Irving thing right now. And then they blew them out by 20. The reason I like Detroit side of it with Drummond is, one, he has good historical numbers, and two, Drummond better have a big game if they're going to stay close. Otherwise, they're going to get blown out and nobody's going to get any value at all.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, I mean, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next game that we're going to move on to, we got Portland going into Houston to face Chris Paul in the Rockets with no James Harden. This game has a 225 implied total, and Houston is favored by 3.5 in this game. So yeah, man, this is looking like a fun game that we would definitely want to get some people from both sides.
Yeah, so the first thing we have to know is James Harden is out, right? So he's not expected to be back tomorrow, and he is not expected to be cleared to play Friday. So there's no James Harden in this one, which I'm sure you'll get into, opens up all kinds of opportunities for Houston, right? But you got to love Damian Lillard at 10-4. Lillard's been very solid as of late. Lillard's a very solid point guard. He's an underrated point guard because of where he plays in Portland. But, other than this Indiana game, you look at what his game log, you see 58.4, 60.4, 48.6, 44.9, 44.2, 10-4. He's got to get you 60 tomorrow. You're playing Houston, and it doesn't matter if James Harden's on the floor or not. They're going to play fast. Their whole theory is you either take a 3-point shot or you get a dunk. So, it's a pace-up game for them, as well. And then, start looking at things like usage rate and minutes per game, etc. Lillard's at 32.2 usage rate. So you compare that to where we're just talking about Kyrie Irving at 24. CJ McCollum has a usage rate of 26.2, a great on-ball shooting guard, and then playing off the ball when they're both on the floor together. His price only $6,600. I really like him a lot in this game. Should have plenty of opportunities in this one. Evan Turner, I always like playing Evan Turner in these types of games because Evan Turner is like a scrappy player, right? And at $4,800, this is a guy that can get you rebounds and steals. And then if he gets you 10 points, he has a monster game because this is a game where Houston's going to get a lot of possessions. They move the ball around a lot. They do get careless with it. And Evan Turner's kind of that gritty little player that can mess around in this game and fill up the stat sheet for you. Power forward-wise, Amino's had a decent season so far. He's had a couple of really good games. He's had a couple of double-doubles. Washington, 16 points, 15 rebounds. The other night against Indiana, 11 and 10. But his price is starting to creep up at 5,100 where it's, he's got to get you 30 now. So, borderline play for me in that one. The center, I love playing Nurkic, man. I think this dude's so underrated. The problem with Nurkic is, again, we look at usage for Nurkic. Great usage rate of 26.5. Great defensive rating, great offensive rating. His offensive rating, 107.1 for a center. That's really good. His efficiency, great efficiency. But minutes, he needs minutes, man. The guy has a hard time staying out of foul trouble. He'll get on a blazing hot start and then pick up 2 quick fouls in the first quarter, and he's done for the half. So you start looking, he's only played 1 game of 30 more minutes. If he was at 6,500, I would love him in this game. 7,100, I'm not sure if this is the spot to go at center. But other than that, you have to really look at Lillard and McCollum because they're going to be the bulk of the scoring in this up-tempo game.
Yeah, no, definitely. So on the Houston side of things, I mean, first thing first, let's just get it out the way. The best play in this game is going to be Chris Paul. With no James Harden, he's going to have the ball in his hand the whole entire game pretty much. And Chris Paul, actually didn't have the best game last game. And we know that he's one of them dudes. If he has a bad game, he's going to come back and crush the next game because that's what he does. He's a baller. So Chris Paul's the obvious play. 9,600 is the only problem is the price tag is getting up there. But with no James Harden, definitely think the price tag's fair. Clint Capella has been absolutely killing this season. I really like Capella. The only thing is, like you said, this is my rule. When you have 2 big guys going against each other, and Nurkic and Capella, one of them is going to get in foul trouble. That's exactly what I told you guys with the Drummond and Embiid thing. Somebody's going to get in foul trouble, so that's the only thing holding me back from either one of those centers. But both can definitely have really good games. Okay, so then we get to the big question. Carmelo, he's had 2 good games back-to-back. He's played what 34 and 38 minutes. They're giving him a lot of minutes. He scored 22 and 24 real life points. But my thing is the price tag is starting to catch up quickly. So we're like, oh man, Carmelo has finally had a couple good games, but before that he was absolutely horrible. And you're gonna tell me I need to pay 6-7 and I need 33 for him to hit value? Like that's just a little scary to me. So for me, I think Carmelo's a little bit more of a GPP play, but he's definitely a really good play. He has some upside with no Harden. They do need scoring, so I like Carmelo. And then I go right back to the well with Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon, the problem with him right now is he's having the same thing as Kyrie Irving problems. The dudes are great three-point shooters for their career, but they just can't hit nothing right now. It's the same thing going on with Eric Gordon. Last year I had a rule pretty much whenever Chris Paul or James Harden was out and Eric Gordon started, I just played him. And he had massive upside, 40-point upside. Ton of times last year he scored 40 fantasy points. So I'm going to go right back to the well to Eric Gordon, 6.4. I just feel he's due for a monster game, and the price tag is fair on him. He's going to play a lot of minutes. And then the sneaky guy, GPP only, but you got PJ Tucker, 5.6. Man, it hurts me to even mention PJ Tucker. I'm like, ooh, PJ Tucker. But, bro, he's been playing well. So, I'm going to give the guy a little bit of love. He's playing almost 35, 36 minutes a game. Past 2 games in a row, he's got 33 fantasy points. So, PJ Tucker, GPP play. But, the main guys I'm really going to look at on the Houston side of things is Chris Paul, Eric Gordon, and a little bit of Carmelo. And, that's really where I'm at.
Yeah, for sure.
Good. Ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. So next game we're going to move on to, it's going to be Washington, the Washington Wizards going into Memphis to face the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, this game has a 217 implied total, and Memphis is favored by 2. I was actually a little bit surprised that Memphis was favored when I seen this line. But yeah, so get us started with the Washington side of things.
Yeah, this is not – Washington's not playing really good basketball right now. That's part of it. The usual cast of characters, John Wall, Brad Beal, Otto Porter, Kelly Oubre, still without Dwight Howard, did not travel with the team. I've been saying this for, I think this is the 3rd game or 4th game on this road trip. Howard looks to make his debut on Friday when they get back home. So obviously it opens up minutes for Jan Mahamini. You can look at this guy as a pump play again at 3,500. If he's going to get you 28 minutes like he did against the Clippers, then he's got plenty of opportunity to be on the floor. But you're taking a guy who's going up against a Marc Gasol, an absolute quality center, quality big man. So if you take Mahamini, you're looking to take a pump play there at center. Markieff Morris, game time decision with a concussion, so they don't have a lot of depth in this spot. They have to go small. They just chose, the other night, you're thinking if they go small, it'll be with Oubre. He only plays 25 minutes against the Clippers, 9 points, 4 rebounds. They chose to go small in another direction. They went small with Thomas Satoransky at 3,500. So this is a bit of a wild card situation when Satoransky is going to get 15 minutes and Oubre's only going to get 20 when they don't have a back court or a front court. It's kind of all over the place. So Otto Porter, I'm going to say it right now, is too cheap at 6,000 in this game. To me, this is the guy. I told everybody and their mother, including you, play Klay Thompson. He's the next one that's going to go off. Steph and Durant have gone off. They're going to look to get this dude involved. They try to do it in Madison Square Garden. They try to do it in Brooklyn. Tonight, Klay had the hot hand, and what did he do? The dude went off. So Otto Porter, I love to play this guy when he's below $6,500. Sooner or later, Otto Porter is going to get going, playing 29.7 points per game. Very low usage rate right now, and I think it's just the way they're playing. His usage rate's only 14.8. Otto Porter is a good defender. There's a lot of not really good players on this Memphis team, so that's really where – you can look to play John Wall if you want, but it's a pace-down game against Mike Conley. We know Mike Conley's a good defender. You can look to play Brad Beal because it's really a mismatch there, but, Garrett Temple, good defender also. To me, Otto Porter's the dude in this game that I'm looking to get a little bit of exposure to tomorrow at 6,000.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, on the Memphis side of things, bro, I'm not trying to be boring. I'm not trying to be that boring dude. But I mean, you look at their two dudes, bro. First, Marc Gasol. He's going against a Washington team that doesn't have a real center. The guy Mahimi likes to get in foul trouble. Who are they gonna? They're gonna put, even if Markieff Morris plays. Is Markieff Morris gonna guard Gasol? Hell no. So I think Gasol 7.7 price tag, very fair price tag for him under 8,000. He's Washington is 27th in the league in guarding centers. Gasol has almost a 31% usage rate for a center. I mean, all the things are pointing to Marc Gasol having a good game. Then you look at Mike Conley. Okay, Mike Conley's quietly having not bad of a season. He's going against a Washington team who's ranked 30th in the league at guarding the point guard, which was a little bit surprising for me. And lastly, I mean, you got Mike Conley, 31% usage rate. He's having the ball in his hand a ton. It's just really him and Gasol that are really doing everything. So I think those are the two obvious plays. I'm not going to look at these guys like Kyle Anderson or this guy like Garrett Temple. I fell into that trap a couple times already earlier this year in my cash games, and them dudes just ain't good. I mean, Temple, maybe you could possibly consider if he's going to play minutes, but his minutes have been all over the place. So for Memphis, I'm just sticking with Gasol and Conley. I think that if they're going to win this game, both of those guys will have a couple good games.
Jaren Jackson Jr., bro. He's worth the play tomorrow, too.
Yeah, I like him. He's just been so up and down. Like, I just hate playing up and, like, for GPP, I understand it. But, you know me, I'm more of a cash game player, and I just hate guys that are up and down. That's just my only thing with them. But I definitely could see the upside, though, for sure. So we'll move on. We got the last game of the night. We're going to hit it real quick. We got the Clippers going into Oklahoma to face the Thunder, Russell Westbrook and Paul George. Get us started with that Clipper side of things, bro.
My favorite play maybe on the entire slate tomorrow is on the Clippers. $4,600 at point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The guy's averaging 26.5 minutes per game. He's getting minutes, he's a young kid. He's a rookie. They're playing him. You look, 28 minutes, 31 minutes. Played 23 minutes against OKC back on October 19th when he was, it was only their second game. So game log watchers should see a 9.6 right there and kind of stay away. I think this guy in this particular format in this game can get you 6x tomorrow night at 4,600. I think he's probably the best value number 2, point guard number 2 tomorrow on the slate. That you're not looking to just for a straight pump play. Like this guy can get you 6x tomorrow. So Alexander's a guy I really like. 35.1 against Washington. A couple days ago. So I like him a lot. Beverly been playing pretty good. Beverly is a guy that needs to get some, he's a good defender. And when he can start hitting shots, which he's done in 2 of his last 3 games, he's had pretty decent games. 34 points, fantasy points against New Orleans. I'm not interested in Beverly. I think you compare the two at the same price. Alexander's the guy for me. Lou Williams is just not getting it done right now. He's just not. We're not seeing the outburst, and part of that is Alexander. Alexander's eating into some of Lou Williams' minutes. Lou Williams is just not getting the opportunities at 5,200. Maybe that tomorrow night's the night for Lou to go off, but this is like the 3rd time I've said that. Gallinari, 6,300. I get it. You could say he's very fair price, but Paul George is a very, very good defender. Not looking to play him. Tobias Harris is not a guy that I ever get excited to play. He's really a blue-collar player. I don't see the upside for tournaments at 7,800. I don't see him getting 50 tomorrow night, so I'm staying away from that. The center position, they don't have one. They just don't have one. I don't know if there's going to be a center in this game tomorrow night because on the OKC side, you got Steven Adams, who's questionable and a game-time decision with his calf, and Nerlens Noel is also a game-time decision with his ankle. So Adams burns people at a 22% ownership in tournaments last night. Out of nowhere, true late scratch. Nerlens Noel gets 55 fantasy points and gets hurt too. So I don't know if there's a center in this game. I'm not going to play Boban Marjanovic at a very high, ownership percentage tomorrow. So for me, I'm really looking to play one guy, and it's Alexander. I think he's a really good play in this game. If OKC blows him out, I believe Alexander's minutes will be stable. He was in at the end of the game. last night for them. So that's really it for me.
Yeah, so I mean, on the OKC side of things, before I do get into the OKC side of things, hey, quick shout out to our chat room, bro. Hey, the chat room is going live right now. Hey, everybody was having a good time in the chat room right now for sure. So hey, thank you guys for watching the video. Having some fun with us. So I'm gonna jump into the OKC side of things. First thing first. Russell Westbrook. I mean, he's the obvious guy that you really got to look at on the Thunder. I mean, he's expensive, 12,000. You need 60 just for him to hit value, and he hasn't got 60 in his first 3 games. So that's one thing. It's like, do I really want to pay that much for Russell Westbrook? Definitely. He's going to give you a solid floor, though. It's going to be an up-tempo game. He's going to get some Patrick Beverly defense as well. It's another thing that kind of, I don't know if Westbrook is a guy that I want to pay 12,000 for tomorrow. We can look at the shooting guard position. Schroeder, I mean, the price came back down 5.2, but since Westbrook's been back, he hasn't been getting the minutes. He played 23 and 26 minutes in the past 2. I want to see him. He should honestly be closer to 30 minutes. And I think by the end of the season, he's going to end up being the starting shooting guard. I mean, they have to have this guy on the floor. He's their third best player. So I think Schroeder's it's a cheap price, somebody you can look at for GPP. Paul George, 9,100. I don't like the price. That's my only thing. Is with Russell Westbrook back, I want to see him about around 8,000. If I can get him at an 8,000 price tag, I would love it. But 9,000 is starting to push it for me a little bit. You need 45 for him to hit value. He's averaging 41 on the season. But I think Paul George, somebody you can look at for GPP. And then, before I talk about this other guy, we'll get to what you brought up real quick. Steven Adams, he's a game time decision. If he's out and Noel plays, then you got to love Nerlens Noel. If Noel and Adams are both out, the guy that I'm going to look at is going to be Jeremiah Grant. He's a power forward. He's already starting to get a ton of minutes. The past 2 games, he's got 30 and 37 minutes. And don't get me wrong, this isn't a guy that does anything special. But he's one of those guys that does a little bit of everything, fills up the stat sheet, gets blocks. And like you said, on the Clippers side of things, they don't have a true center. So, I mean, I could see them playing this dude Grant at center, get an even couple more minutes, get some extra rebounds. So if both of those guys are out, and Noel and Adams, and I think that Grant is the one that's going to get a big boost. And you could possibly even look at a guy like Patrick Patterson if he's going to get the start. He's one of their other bigs, but they just don't really have any other big guys outside of Adams and Noel. So I mean, that's really where I'm at on the OKC side of things, and I think that's really where I'm at on this slate. If you got anything else to comment about, definitely feel free. And then, we can wrap it up and get out of here.
I would stay away from Schroeder tomorrow. The reason I say that is Avery Bradley's a really good defender, man. Avery Bradley, going back to the days when he was in Boston, even when he was at Detroit, when he's the Clippers, Avery Bradley's a really good defender. You can look at the game log and see what Schroeder did in a full complement of minutes against him in the past. Avery Bradley is like Drew Holiday. I try to stay away from anybody who's matched up against Avery Bradley for that simple reason. He's just a phenomenal defender.
Yeah, so, hey, I think that's all we got for our NBA morning shoot-around for Tuesday, October 30th. Thank you for watching. Make sure and click that like button if you haven't already. Make sure and check out our site, dfscheatsheet.com. Hey, man, we got everything for you guys to start winning at DFS day in and day out. So check out the site. We'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow with my NBA core plays. And go check out the DFS Cheat Sheet YouTube channel as well. Jeremy will be on over there with his GPP core plays for the day. And I think that's all we got, guys. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.